got the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark.
Of the program. Good morning. How are you? It is Hump-Day. Which means we slide over the aforementioned day dedicated to camels everywhere. Coming up. Oh, hang on. People they like the breakdown here. Hang on. All right. I've had people say, hey, don't talk over that breakdown toward the end. So, hey, good morning. How are you? Hit us up in the McClellan chat room and on the Professional Door Incorporated text line 3910788. Morning, Stephen. What's up, Prometheus? Hello, Red Dead. A lot going on today, man. We got Kion Brown coming up. Talk some college hoops and see if there's any kind of fix in his mind about the horribleness that is the NBA. Damien Sordelett joins us, David Teel. And then we're going to have Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn join us in hour 3. Paige is going to be the presenting sponsor for the Women's Leadership Conference, and she's also the director of Blacksburg Ballet. And Lauren is the keynote speaker for the Women's Leadership Conference. She's also an author and an ESPN reporter. And she was a Giles High Spartan. So we'll be talking to those people coming up later on. 8 o'clock. From the cozy confines of Big Dog's expensive studio. Yes, it is. Here on Route 8, to the listening audience in Flagler County, Florida, doesn't one wonder about Mike Young's fate? It's a good lead in. Thank you, Morris. BDST is live. Actually stayed up for the game last night, the end of the game, since it was close. Tech led throughout the game, and they fall 67-66. And barring, I believe, at this point, an ACC tournament, very deep run, their NCAA hopes are forever gone. Trey Donaldson, in the second half against Florida State on Saturday, it was the whole team. They shot, whatever it was, 76%. Then Trey Donaldson, one guy, scores the last 15 points for his team. What do you have? 24 of his 32 in the second half. So on Saturday, it was a team that beat them. And then here it was one guy. Yeah, and I've completely forgotten. Thanks, Thunder. And yeah, they're wide open. I'm going to have to get up and shut them. Yeah. Yeah. Bought them. Took the time to put them up. Forgot to close them. I'll need a few more reminders, like, probably the rest of the week, and then maybe I can figure it out. And the NIT is not going to cut it, right? It's not going to be good enough, and really that tournament is even more pointless than the college football bowl games, the way it's evolved. So this is now, I think you have to look at it as a season fail for a lot of reasons. I won't say that Nito played poorly because he had 8 assists and 1 turnover, but only 2 points and 1 of 3 shooting. How can the guy you're paying that much money to take 3 shots? Now, he didn't turn the ball over, and he was efficient in his distribution, so that's a good thing. But you've got to get more offensive production out of that position. And Tech falls to 17-10, and they're now 6-8 in the ACC. And that was a devastating loss. This has been a bad couple of games for Tech. Now they host Wake Forest on Saturday. They go to Carolina, who's obviously not remotely the same team since they lost Wilson because they got blown out. I mean, they got their doors blown off by NC State last night. But that's going to do it for Tech unless they go deep in the ACC tournament. And it's going to be very difficult for Mike Young, I think, to get this team motivated. More and more close losses. They have a lot of close wins, a lot of close losses. There's such a fine line in winning and losing. And you are correct, Prometheus. California is now ahead of Virginia Tech in the standings. But it was playing out like we had talked about yesterday, because I had said, watch Tech go down there and get the dub right after that game. And they led most of this basketball game. They had the lead. But they couldn't adjust to stop Trey Donaldson. And now this is the back-to-back games without second-half adjustments. And that's just the way you have to look at it. Couldn't stop Florida State as a team on Saturday, and then you can't stop one player in the second half. So there you go. There you go. And I know it's got to be frustrating for Tech fans. It does. But their first dive into NIL has not paid off. I'm sorry. Pay for play has not paid off. And this has been a disappointing season. I mean, I know they've been close, but being close isn't good enough, you know. Not at this juncture of your tenure as the coach if you're Mike Young. So I think there's going to be some tough decisions on this roster next year. I think there's going to be some tough decisions maybe with that staff. We'll see. And I'm not talking about the head coach, but sometimes coach has to reevaluate what's going on. And, you know, I started thinking about what Burnip said yesterday. And I think he's so right, and I think it showed up last night. Even the teams that have good records, you don't get that vibe that they're unbeatable, right? Duke has a certain aura to it. UVA has a spectacular record, almost as good as Duke, but you don't ever feel like they're like Mike talked about yesterday. You don't feel like the ACC is like the Big 12 or the Big 10, where you're just like, oh. And Tech playing the teams who are third and fourth in their last two road games kind of proves it. Tech won at Clemson. They very well could have won last night against Miami. Yet there's NC State, the number 5 team. They blow out Tech. They blow out Carolina last night. Carolina's on a slide now. Carolina's going to fall for quite a while without Caleb Wilson. Louisville, they get punched in the head last night by SMU. This league is good, and that's why the net looks good, but there's not this, other than Duke, there's not really this aura about anybody in that league, and that's what Mike was talking about yesterday, and Tech proved that again last night. Yeah, I saw that a lot. I don't know. It seemed like it has happened a lot recently where there's no timeouts called to stop the other team from going. I know that happened Saturday and then last night. I understand wanting guys to play through things, and coaches do that all the time, but sometimes you need that little breather, and it does help. It does stop momentum in basketball. Timeouts in basketball, well placed, are very effective. So I agree with that, Prometheus. I do. So where do they go from here? Well, you get ready to play Wake at home. Again, should be a winnable game. Wake's not been great on the road. Wake's not a bad team by any measure at all. But they're 4-8 in the league. And they've only had 6 true road games, which is kind of weird to me. They've had a lot of neutral games. So you would think that would be another game that Tech can win. But at this point, it's not really even about the rest of the regular season. They have to try to prepare themselves. I don't know what's going on with Johnson. He doesn't play again. Mike says he's close. We've heard that for the last 3 weeks. I've given up trying to figure out Tech's injury reports. But another one slips through the fingers, and now you have to just end all talk about the NCAA and just try to get this team right to try to make some kind of tournament run. That's all that's left at this point. And I know what going to the tournament meant to Mike Young. He said that when he was on this program right first week of the season. The quote was something like, every win now here in November is going to show up in February. And our goal isn't just to continue to test ourselves. We want to put ourselves in a position to play in the tournament. And they won't be doing that right now, as of things right now. Whoop. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here. There we go. We good now? Everybody good? Okay. So hit us up in the chat room. Let us know what you think. And yeah, I mean, that's it. That's it. It's it in a nutshell right there. Tech now 17-10 overall. 17-10 and 6-8 in the conference. And when you have a losing conference record, you got no shot at the tournament. And the complaints leading into the season from a lot of Tech fans was they don't put any money into the program. Where's the money to go out and get players? It all went to football. It's still all going to go basically to football. But they did have it this year. For the first time, investment was made. To, I guess you could say, and boy, it sucks to say this, but normal levels of pay for play. And I don't know. Is it a situation where you get guys in like that and what we've been talking about all along, and they become difficult to coach, they become difficult to correct? It's happening everywhere. And there was a massive implosion. Did you see what happened in the UCLA-Michigan State game last night? Good Lord. And Mick Cronin, who somehow got extended by their god-awful AD out there, has lost that program completely. They were getting blown out again. They got blown out by Michigan this weekend, and they got just punched in the face by Tom Izzo last night. And then late in the game, there was a breakaway, and it was a really hard foul. Nothing that you don't see normally in a game, but it's going to make its rounds today on social media. And Cronin grabbed the player, escorted him out of the game, threw him off the floor, ordered him to leave the floor with a police escort. A head coach threw his own player out of the game. This is where we are in college athletics in the pay-for-pay era. And there are a lot of people saying, you have the situation at Kansas State, right? The situation with Kansas State and Jerome Tang, who's been let go for calls because of some things that he said. You have to wonder if we're going to see something out at West at UCLA today or tomorrow. I mean, he physically grabbed his player, pushed him to the sideline, and then pushed him off the floor and directed him to get off the floor after the foul. And again, it was a hard foul. There was intent there to, they were going to go down and showcase dunk. They're beating UCLA by 25, 30 points. But I mean, I see hard fouls all the time in the Big South. They go back and review them, and if it's a flagrant, they issue a flagrant. But the easiest explanation I can come up with, and let me know in chat if you agree or not, it feels like it's why we've seen so many coaches leave. Coaches no longer have authority over many of these guys because of the money they're making. Assistant coaches who aren't making as much money as the player in college basketball. And unfortunately, you're looking at the NBA way of doing things, the NBA mindset. And I think that's what's going on in a lot of these scenarios. And I'm not saying that's directly what's going on with Mike Young and Virginia Tech, but we're not seeing improvement from the guy they paid the most to come play for them this year. He did improve himself by protecting the basketball. But when you're shooting 3 times, Coach Elmo just texted, and I think he's right. When you're only shooting 3 times, you've lost all confidence being able to score. Oh, I'm sure at this point, the way it feels right now, Prometheus, that, the AD is getting a complete pass on everything for whatever reason. He's still in charge of basketball, right? You know how we were discussing, if you bring in a football coach, how would you hire an AD for a football coach? Well, you know what? The football coach is the AD for football at Virginia Tech. Whether it was James Franklin or someone else, that's the way that's set up. So, yeah, I'm guessing he's still in charge of this part. So, yeah, it's a good question you ask. I don't know. But there's a lot of money that's circulated, a lot of money that's spent, and you're 17-10. And you have a losing conference record. And the guy who was lauded coming in and was supposed to be, oh, my goodness gracious, this might be the best. I hesitate to use the term recruit anymore. I think recruit. Yeah, I'm going to ask Teel all about it. Yeah, I am. Because these aren't recruits anymore. They have to come up with a new word. But let's just all call it for what it's paid for play. All right. Let's stop using the term NIL. NIL is not accurate any longer. It's going to stay there because people will take them a while to figure it out. And that's what it is, I guess, in the legal documents. But it's not NIL. It's pay for play. Pay for play. And it hasn't worked out for Tech this year. Now, it hasn't been horrible in terms of, the losses are bad, but I mean, they've been in a lot of games. They've won a lot of close games. They've lost a lot of close games. It's not like they're getting blown out night in and night out like UCLA, who spent a lot more on their roster than Virginia Tech did. But yeah, you got to see that last night with Mick Cronin. You said that's bizarre. Never seen a coach throw his own player out of the game. He went too far. I mean, it was a hard foul. It wasn't like he just took the guy's head off and then pushed him into the basketball stanchion. It was stupid. But if Kansas State's firing Jerome Tang for comments, I got a feeling UCLA would have a reason now, but their AD is so inept, I don't know what they're going to do out there. That school is so far gone with its major programs. Good luck, Bob Chesney. I didn't read it. I did see something, Tebow. Yeah, IMG Academy fined nearly $2 million for accepting money linked to the Mexican cartel. I did see something. I didn't read that. Look, this whole thing there's only one word to use, man. This whole thing is dirty. Everything going on is dirty, dishonest. I mean, it's all completely, it's blue chips on steroids is what we have now in college athletics, because everything it's anything goes. Yeah, I'm down with that too. For me, you're right. This isn't about injuries anymore. It may have been early on when they didn't have a full team, but you've got every guy back now, but one guy who hasn't been a factor for months anyway. You should have been able to learn how to play and win these games more consistently with the guys you have, especially since Lawal came back. 100%. This looked like it was going to be a team that could rely on its depth because of all the guys who have been hurt and so many other guys who had to play, but they don't really have quality depth. They only went 3 deep last night. None of those guys really contributed much. So that also is a little jarring to me. Let's see. Yeah, Dorn, Gerdak, and Schutt each scored 6 points, which is fine. Gerdak had 5 rebounds. He had by far the best game. So 3 guys. And Hansberry was 16 last night. And Donaldson had 32 points. I don't know how you let one player score the last 15 points for his team to beat you. You got to do something. And you know what? Let's say this the way it is, because you whatever level you ended up stopping playing basketball, you know what you do at that point? A hard foul. Not to hurt them, but to make them feel it. To knock down their confidence a little bit. I'm going to talk to Kion about that. But this is no longer, like, it's not a debate any longer. Tech is completely out of the tournament. This is about, can they get any kind of momentum with I'm not even sure winning at Carolina now is as big of a signature win as we thought. Carolina last night, if you didn't see it, let me find the final again. Without Wilson, they're done. They're done. 82-58. Wow. I mean, they beat a bad Pitt team by 14. Now they got to go to Syracuse. We're going to find out a lot about Carolina when they go to the Dome. And then they've got Louisville and Tech. Yeah, I agree, Tebow. Matter of fact, don't count on any of these guys being back. I mean, that's the mindset you have to have now. I mean, every coach I've talked to has told me that. It's a special circumstance. Unless somebody's making so much money and they just like the area and they're like, hey, I can live here and save some money. But that's going to be an anomaly more than it is the norm. Good morning, Chris. How are you? But Carolina, you got absolutely boat race last night by your rival. They are not the same team. You can't lose Caleb Wilson and think you're going to have a shot to make any noise in the ACC or NCAA tournament. Now, they'll make the tournament. They've got 20 wins, and they've been ranked all year, and people will look at the fact they lost their superstar. And I was even giving Tech the benefit of that fact for months, right? You've heard me. I got accused of being a homer, but I've been looking at it knowing that Tech's had a lot of problems with injuries, but not now. This isn't what this is now. This is something else. These are defensive issues that aren't being corrected. These are, it was the Florida State team, and then it was one guy last night, one guy. I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just like yelling at the TV. You can help on him a little bit. How about not making it so easy on him to get to the goal? Tech's got some big people in there. But, yeah, Marva's going to have to come to the reality of, he's the franchise. He's a top 5 pick. And Carolina lost Caleb Wilson. They lost their identity. They lost their chances. I'm sorry. Sorry, Car Hill fan. But it's over for you. But in any event, we'll talk about these things with Kion. But it's a little sobering right now in Blacksburg, to say the least. All right, we got a lot coming on today. We got Damien Sordelett coming on, David Teel, Lauren Sisler, and Paige Guynn going to join us at the same time in hour number 3. And there he is. He's our basketball correspondent, Kion Brown. What's up, KB? Good morning.
Rick Watson, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. I can't complain about a thing, man. I can't complain.
Well, good. All right, well, let's get into it. Virginia Tech, not anywhere near the conversation for the NCAA tournament now after the last 2 results. And last night,
they're out. It's over.
The Donaldson kid.
Yeah.
KB, you played center, and you were very skilled, but you also understood when you had to be an enforcer. You've talked about that. How can one guy score his team's last 15 points and have 24 of his 32 in one half? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's crazy. I have no idea. You said you got to bring a certain level of edge, a certain level of physicality when that happens. Quick story. We got our stories on BDST. My freshman year, there was a team called the Longwood Lancers coming into the Dedman Center, and they had this freshman that was really good. His name was Michael Kessens.
Yes.
And Coach Jones, and I think it might have been Coach Byers who had the scout. I think it was Coach Byers. He had the scout. So for 3 days leading up to that game, They're just talking about Michael Kessens. Michael Kessens, how good he is. He's a freshman from France. He's so good. He's averaging 16 points and 8 rebounds. I still remember. And he's coming into your building. He's coming to win. So I was getting mad every day in practice. That was before I had 100% control of myself. I was getting mad. So I said, I cannot wait for this dude to come in here. It's just basketball. God, this dude isn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or anything coming in here. So he comes in. We're up by 10, and I'm telling you, when I mean I'm physical, I'm like, I'm crossing the line. I can say that, 13 years later, I crossed the line. I just wanted him to know that they've been talking about you the whole time. I don't care. And it came to a point where in that game, he and I got into a real fight, a literal fight. And luckily, the game was at the Damien Center, and one of our good friends who was controlling the camera moved that thing over a little bit. So when it came time to look at the replay, they didn't see anything but who ran off of the bench. And I didn't get in trouble. That is a real thing. And I say that to say, we bring that back to tech. You got to bring a certain level of physicality when somebody's punking you on the inside as well, especially when you know you're in position to be in the tournament and now you're so far out of it. It's like your only way is to win the ACC tournament. That's the only way now. A win versus Miami would have been huge because you just beat Clemson. Awful loss on Saturday to Florida State. When I mean awful, it's probably one of the worst losses I've seen all season long. That was bad. Now you get a chance to redeem yourself against Miami, who's a team that could be in the tournament, and you lay an egg again. It's just bad for Tech basketball right now. You only got one way to win the tournament, and that's not looking too likely. You have to win the ACC tournament to go to the big dance now. That's the position you're in.
Yeah, I mean, they losing record in conference, you're not going to make any tournament. And it's strange to see, and it's not just about injuries. You know, I've kind of given the benefit of the doubt. I've wanted to, but now it's not. I don't know what's going on with Tyler Johnson. We're obviously not getting an honest appraisal of his situation. It's been, hey, he's ready to come back for the last 3 weeks. He's still not playing. I don't know what's going on there. I'm guessing it's probably something off the floor.
Yeah.
That happens a lot more in this day and age with the money involved. But in the pay-for-play era, if you noticed it across, I mean, you see guys, coaches, established coaches losing their teams a lot quicker than we've seen in years past. Last night, the whole UCLA-Michigan State debacle, I'm not sure Mick Cronin's going to have a job after today. And when he throws his own player out of a game and goes out and grabs him and throws him to the – I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
That's old school Mick Cronin. That's old school Cincinnati Big East Mick Cronin right there. And I'll say this, I'm a fan of Mick Cronin. I really am. But some of the stuff that he's been doing this season has really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know if you saw the post-game presser with him. Did you see that?
Yeah, and then the Michigan
when he's like,
game.
"Did you raise your voice at me?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Come on, man.
He's crazy.
Come on, dude. What are we doing? Come on, dude."
Yeah.
Like it's been something. He's got given a soundbite like that every week. It seems like in the season. But yesterday I was like, "Come on, man. All right, man. Like that dude is just trying to do his job, man." And at the same time, if he was raising your voice, what would you have done? Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, dude.
Come on.
So yeah, man.
I think at that point, like if I just ask a question and he says that, I'm just like, "What's up, coach? Are you not?" Yeah, I think I would have just shot back at that.
Yeah, I would have.
If he's showing me disrespect, I'm sure as hell not going to respect him.
Yeah, or I'm being very sly in my next response to that. I'm embarrassing you somehow, some way. I'm being very witty. That's what I'm doing.
Well, let's talk about last night. You know, Abdallah, I won't say he played poorly. He didn't play poorly. He had 8 assists, 1 turnover. So he ran the offense, but he took 3 shots. And for a guy that's paid almost $3 million, that's what's going on with this guy.
Yeah, you can't have that. And if you really look at the nucleus of all this, and you kept saying this, pay for play, you can't call it NIL. You got to hold guys accountable. And he has to hold himself accountable, and hopefully the others around him are holding him accountable, because when he plays at his best, then you can say Tech has been a tournament team. But I haven't really seen that the great Neo Abdallah since Providence. What's so crazy is that's the hope that Tech fans had, that you will see that consistently, especially because it was so early in the season when that game was. And you really haven't seen that version of him to that level since. But you see what he can do, but now you're on the line of he's not going to do it because we haven't seen it since. It's been so long. And if you are Tech, you need him to be the best version of himself, and he hasn't been that. Scoring the basketball. Sure, you said he had the 8 assists, but at the end of the day, this team needs a consistent scorer who can open up the offense for the rest of the guys on the squad. And that's not what he's been. It's just not been. And he is a guy who can play. He can go. They were talking about it all season long, a lottery pick. But I love to see where his draft stock is right now, because it cannot be where it was earlier in the season. It just can't be. But luckily for him, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because a lot of times in the NBA draft, they go off of potential now anyway. There were plenty of guys who averaged 6 points and got drafted in the first round still. Guys are still looking at him, but he has to be so much better than what he's been offensively scoring the basketball if Tech is going to be where they want to be, and that's an NCAA tournament team. If he has an explosive Kemba Walker-like ACC tournament, Tech has a chance to win. If he's this guy who consistently scores in the single digits and shoots 3 shots, that's clearly not enough, Tech will be out in the first or second round of the ACC tournament.
Well, and as Tebow said too, he's horrible defensively. He makes no effort defensively to move.
Most European players are like that. Those international foreign guys are like that. So it's not a surprise either.
Is it? And remember, Mike Jones was very honest about this. Speaking of Coach Jones, he used to challenge you guys, right? Look, the defense is going to come after you. You're the guy they're going to stop.
And it was me.
It was you, or it was Carleek.
Yeah,
he would go right to the Javante. What are you going to do? We can only coach you so much, and it looks like that everybody early on figured out how to defend him, Abdallas, and just take him out of the scenario, and that's what they've done. And he hasn't been able to adjust back.
Well, you have to have a certain level of pride too. But at the same time, Coach Jones was such a great defensive coach that even though I wasn't the greatest defender, I wasn't the worst either.
Yeah.
So it was just in comparison to the other guys on the roster who were excellent defenders. So I still could guard guys one-on-one on the post. I didn't need much help. And for Virginia Tech, the more you have to help, the worse the defensive team you're going to be. The good teams stop dribble penetration. And whenever you got a guy who is like Neo, who's guarding on the perimeter, guys can just blow right by him. You're forcing a lot of help, which puts the defense in conflict. So that's what it's going to continue to be. They're going to continue to hunt him out. They're going to continue to seek him out. It's going to have to be a pride thing and say, all right, I cannot let this happen, or I have to be a better version defensively of what I can be. It's the end of the day. That's what it comes down to.
No, you're right. And nobody else has stepped up consistently to pick up that scoring slack either. Nobody. Yeah. And they know that. People who scout them know that they don't have anybody capable of doing it consistently.
Yeah. And you see, you talk about Coach Jones. They have been awful defensively to start the season at UNC Greensboro. Now look what they've been doing.
Yeah.
The defense has turned up a little bit. And, now they're on the up and up in the SoCon. They got a lot of impressive wins. They beat Wofford. They beat Furman on the road.
Yep.
And it's because the defense has turned up. And it also helps that you got the SoCon Player of the Year on your squad as well, and Justin Neely. All right. So
yeah. 4 in a row now. Yeah. They're playing well. They're playing well. Carolina's done without Caleb Wilson. I mean, let's just
say it's not just Caleb Wilson. They also don't have Henry Visar.
That's true. Visar's gone too.
So you have your top 2 best players. And so much of what Carolina does is between those two. And what is unique about Carolina is that they put the opposition or whoever they're playing against front court, and they put a lot of pressure on them because those guys run a lot of 4-5 screens. And it's so hard for bigs to guard 4 or 5 screens that, if those 2 guys aren't playing, you can't replicate or duplicate that with the rest of the roster. So as long as Caleb Wilson is out, as long as Visar is out, Carolina's going to continue to lose. They're not going to continue to be a good team. No, it is what it is. But that's every team in college basketball. You take your 2 best players out, you're not going to be very good. And that's the issue with North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, and they lost Trimble, the 3rd best player. They've lost at some point all 3 of their top players this year. So it's been bizarre. So now it's a Duke league. It's a Virginia league. Louisville, maybe.
As it's been the last few years, though, right?
Yeah. And if they get blown out last night, Louisville, right? So, I mean, it's just looks like it's 2 teams that have separated themselves right now.
Yep.
So.
The Dukes, the UVAs. But I still like Louisville. Michael Brown just got back. But their ceiling is how good he plays. So, and he's really good. But like you said, it's really going to come down to UVA and Duke. And that'll get interesting because UVA shoots so many threes that if they get hot, they obviously can beat Duke. Yeah. Duke all around is well-rounded. Cameron Boozer is probably the best player in college basketball. Caden Boozer, who we talked about in the preseason, I said he'd be a factor by this time this season, and he's been a factor. They're unbelievable at what they do, and then they got a big matchup on Saturday against Michigan. So we're going to learn a whole lot about Duke on Saturday because Michigan is the team who if I had to pick a team to win the national championship right now, I'd pick Dusty May and the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in the country.
Yeah,
there's no question, no question. Well, it's disappointing. I know all the folks in Blacksburg. And how much of it do you think too? This is the first time Tech's ever done this. First time in Mike Young's coaching career, his long and vaunted coaching career, he's had money to go out and get involved the way we are today, buying players, and he hasn't responded very well. Do you think this is just something that maybe he found a little more difficult than he thought it was going to be? He probably knew it was going to be a challenge, but maybe now that he's in it, it's like, whoa, this is not the world in which I started.
Yeah, I believe so. And that's why a lot of the elder statesmen of college basketball coaching have left. And I think it's one of those situations where you don't know what you don't know until you get into it. And, it's a whole new learning curve. Coach Young has been coaching for forever, right? So he only knows one way. And so now it's the point where you're paying players and you have to coach and manage egos and salaries and et cetera. Yeah. And now it puts you in position where you're in unfamiliar territory. So I can understand not just Coach Young, but everybody else who had to get used to it. And that's the problem with trying to get into this thing so late. And it's been years since the pay for play, pretty much, right? You wait until 4 years down the road and you're not used to it, so you don't know how to handle it. And you got the roster and you got the talent, but now what you have to do is manage those guys. And that's easier said than done when money's involved and the amount of money that these guys are making as well. Yeah. How do you balance that? That's one of the biggest keys that coaches have to face with this pay-for-play era.
Yeah, it is. And what you just said, too, we talked about this ad nauseum Monday and Tuesday, but the amount of money is just ridiculous.
Right.
It's stupid. It makes no sense. And I think in basketball circles in particular, we talk about how in football locker rooms, guys can get bitter and maybe they separate into clique because he's making that he shouldn't be. And I'm not. Well, in basketball, you got 15 guys.
There you go.
So the locker room's a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's way smaller.
That separation can happen pretty quickly, can't it?
And you'd be a fool to think that those guys aren't talking about how much money they're making. You be an idiot. I'll call you that.
Yeah.
Because these guys are so young.
Yeah.
They also don't know what they don't know. They're flashy. Right. They want to buy the fancy cars. They want to have the jewelry. And I saw on the ACC Media Day how iced up those guys were.
Oh,
they want to show it off. They want to flaunt it. And they're young. You got to go through life experiences to learn. But they're talking about in the locker room. It's not just Tech, it's everywhere else who has NIL. You have to manage that. You have to deal with that. If you can't manage it, if you can't deal with it, you'll lose. That's simple.
Well, let's switch gears to the professional league, the artist formerly known as the NBA. It's the worst I've ever seen it. I've never imagined it. A league could fall this far so quickly. The All-Star weekend was an embarrassment. What are your thoughts? Can it be fixed as long as Adam Silver's the commissioner? In my mind, he is by far the worst of any of the commissioners that we have going, even Roger Goodell.
Well, I'll disagree with you on All-Star Weekend. The dunk contest was pretty bad, but I think everything else, they didn't know it would be that as good as it was this weekend. So I'm not going to say it's on the NBA. It just happened that way. The All-Star game was competitive. Guys were playing hard. The first two games went into overtime, but the NBA didn't know that was going to happen. They only hoped that was going to happen, and it happened. But it's a bad product right now. And as a guy like me who watches the NBA still, who is a fan of those guys because I get to follow their careers up from high school to college and now pro, it's the worst product that has been in years. And I hate to say that because I'm the guy who comes on here and always defends the NBA.
I know.
But nobody's watching the NBA right now. And now you got the conversation where folks used to say nobody watches college basketball anymore. And now you got people saying college basketball is the best has been over the NBA. And they much rather watch college basketball because the product is better, even with the NIL, even with the pay for play. So I don't know what Silver's going to do about it. I just don't know what he can do to change the landscape of the NBA right now. And everything that's going on as far as the effort, as far as the low management. You try to put this thing in where if you don't play at least 65 games, you lose accolades. But now you're in the point where guys are really getting hurt, and now your star guys aren't going to be eligible to win the NBA or be all NBA or be a defensive player of the year because of that rule. So that's going to bring the product down as well, because there's no way that a guy like Victor Wembanyama should not win the defensive player of the year every year he's in the NBA. But he's not going to win it this year because he's not going to play a lot of games. So I get the effort, I understand, but at the flip side, you got to see how it can come to bite you as well. The NBA is not good right now, and it only picks up in the playoffs. I think guys will say, well, it's better now in the playoffs. But right now, for this regular season product where fans are paying their hard-earned money to go and see something good, they're not getting that right now.
I can't imagine paying money to go watch the NBA.
Yeah.
I can't even – if somebody offered me tickets, I wouldn't go. Because there's not one guy in the league that I feel like I'd want to go see. And I think that's the problem. I don't think there's one guy that, I'd like to watch him play.
You wouldn't want to go see Victor Wembanyama?
No.
You want to go see Nikola Jokic?
No. If I were in town, if I had nothing to do that night, am I going to make an effort to drive somewhere to watch him? No.
You wouldn't want to go see the Detroit Pistons right now?
Well, Javante's a different story.
Yeah, it's not just about him. It's about that whole team, though.
He's ours. No, the Pistons don't do anything for me. I mean, it's not.
But I'll say this: if the NBA had 30 teams like the Pistons, it'll be the best. Those guys play. Now, that's one team that play. They don't care of the effort you give. They're going to give everything they have.
But
I will say that about the Pistons. Yeah.
Silver did everything but think about the product, right? It was like, people want more offense, so we're just going to turn it into a 135 to 128 game every night. We're going to let guys take off as much time as they want because they let the players run the league. And I think that's the core of the problem. The players run the league to the point to where nobody says no, just like we're seeing in college sports with all the money they're making.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think there's any coaches that have any control over any of the rosters in the NBA.
Yeah. Oh, no. People talk about that all the time, especially on podcasts, how much of a business it is, how much politics is in it. I saw a story where a guy said he was averaging 20 points through 6 games, and the coach came up to him and said, "You're not playing anymore." And it's not my fault. I was like, whoa. I was like, if the NBA is like that, man, people have a rude awakening when they get there.
Yeah. Well, it's not good. It's not good in any aspect, in any phase. Is it good? But we'll see. We'll see what happens long term with this league.
Yeah,
I think they need a change in leadership. That's my opinion. But I don't know. They just signed that. I don't know how they got billions of dollars in their TV contract when, like you said, the ratings are terrible everywhere. You have to go to 5 different services to watch their games.
Yeah.
It's not feeding the fans at all, right? It makes no sense to me how they constructed all this other than collecting the money they got from all these folks.
Yeah, like you said, you got to go to Amazon. You got to go through Hulu. They got games on Tubi now. You got to go through HBO Max. I'm like, my goodness. It used
That's
to just
right.
be ESPN and TNT. Cool.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, that's easy.
ESPN's an affiliate of ABC, so that's a package deal. So if you have ESPN, you got ABC, so you can watch that. But now it's everywhere, and now I think it's somewhere. I think it's like you got to pay up to $188 a month extra if you want to watch every NBA game. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
2 weeks left in the Big South regular season.
Yeah, man.
What do you think?
High Point and Winthrop obviously have been the most consistent teams. I love what I've seen from Winthrop, but it's going to be so competitive in the end. A neutral site changes everything. And I actually like what I'm seeing from Radford. I really do. I think they got a chance to scare some people. I can't wait to see how the final bracket turns out. But if I'm Radford, I would rather be on the side with Winthrop because you just match up better with the Eagles. You should have at least split with them this season. You lose both at the buzzer. It is what it is. A neutral site changes everything. You go mano and mano. But right. Radford has the guard play. They have a consistent guy in Dennis Parker Jr. who can really go. They got everything that they need to win the tournament. You just have to have it clicking at the right time. I think right now for the rest of the season for Radford, it's just about momentum. How are you going to close out the season? How are you going to be heading into Johnson City going into the tournament? You've got what you need. You just got to string it all together and continue to play for one another. It's where I like to say for Coach Chu, where most people who say it's been an up and down season, for Radford, it's been a down and up season. The non-conference wasn't what it was, or wasn't what they hope it would have been. But the conference play, those guys have been so much better than what we saw earlier in the season that I have a lot of hope that they can make a run at least to the championship game. I do believe that. Hopefully, like I just said, they're on the side with Winthrop, but I think that they're a team that nobody wants to play against. I really believe that.
TLB says, whichever game or challenge, I would want Kion on my team. I don't think he'd ever mail it in. No, he never mailed it in 4 years.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm from that era where you just play hard. My biggest skill was playing hard, man.
You did, man. You did. You played your tail off. You did. All right, brother. I hope you have a great day in the classroom. Great to visit with you as always. So I get to see you on the 28th, right?
Yeah, man. Next Saturday. We're almost there, dude. You get to see me. I'm in there. I'm on the call for the Radford Longwood game.
I think Neil's coming with me for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Maybe I'll hop on the pregame if we don't do the pre-recording.
I think we should. I think you should.
Man.
I think you
absolutely.
Should. All right, brother. You take care of yourself.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Man. Take care. There you go. That's a Kion Brown. Great stuff from KB. Now, he never mailed it in. You're right about that, TLB. You never, ever mailed it in. No question. No question. All right, coming up in just a little bit, Damien Sordelet's going to join us. We'll talk to him. We want to thank all of our sponsors as well. We've got David Teel. We've got Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn going to join us at the same time in hour number 3. And we'll talk more about that. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio here in Reiner, 540-200-8294. Thanks to them. Ground is warm. It's clear. They're ready to rock and roll to help you with your fencing needs. And spring fever is going to hit pretty quickly now, looking at this forecast the rest of February. McClellan Chiropractic, thanks to them. Mark Hunley, Walters Drive, right off of Pepper Surrey Road, sponsor of our chat room. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply since 1997. The NRV Super Bowl has been doing it for 25 years. Go check out the amenities that they've added. You won't recognize the place. Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel, thank you for our T-shirts. Ready Set Fund with Bob Christ. ReadySetFund.com. Bob Christ, CRST11. At Gmail, you can raise money for your organization. Talked about Professional Door and Travis Williams, sponsor of our text line, commercial and residential garage doors. 38 years they've been in business. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this program, thanks to Larry Ramsey, and my exclusive banking partner for 35 years. Little River Heating and Air, 540-553-2971. They're out now, and pretty soon they'll be from getting your heat going to making sure everybody's air units are working, right? Best value, best service. You're going to find anybody who's in that industry. Go see Charles Lee. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment is the presenting sponsor of this program. And we thank so much Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller. And we're going to continue to share all the great things that they're doing. And hopefully, once we get going into the warmer months, we're going to be able to do some things with the show and the channel from their from the racetrack and from other things that they're doing. That's my plan. And our BDST fan question of the week, brought to you by the attorney, Ryan Pry. And I think that takes care of everybody. Yeah. Yep, it does. It does. And thank you for being here as always, because we have a lot going on. Let me tell you a little bit more about Lauren and Paige here. People are going, who did he just say? And I'll make sure I get the information right so I don't screw this up. Because unlike today's Access Media, I want to make sure I get things as right as I can. All right, so Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn, and this all became from Steve Bafuto from the Chamber. Paige is the Chamber's presenting sponsor for the Women's Leadership Conference. She's the owner of Blacksburg Ballet. And Lauren is the keynote speaker for the Women's Leadership Conference. And she's also an author and ESPN reporter for college football and a graduate of Giles High School. So she will be on with us. And that'll be coming up in hour number 3 today. So, yeah. And that'll be fun. That'll be fun. But, yeah, another nail in the coffin loss for the moment for Tech basketball. People are hitting me up on the professional door text line. What do they have to do? You've got to go probably to the last weekend, the last day or two of the ACC tournament to get in at this point. I mean, you're not going to get the value for a Carolina win that you normally would have without, as Kion mentioned, their top two big guys out. Carolina got boat raced last night. They weren't competitive at all. I was trying to watch some of that game and watch the Tech game, and every time I turned it on, the NC State game, I saw the Wolfpack doing whatever they wanted. Sorry, Marva, but you can't have the injuries to those guys. Carolina's done. They are done. So Tech has a shot to get that win now, probably more than they ever had before. The UVA game, got to go on the road in Charlottesville. That won't be easy. You can't count on that one. You have Wake coming to Castle. You would think they'd be okay, but then again, they should have been okay against Florida State. So I don't think there's anything else really in the regular season. You know, win at UVA would kind of stir the needle a little bit, but let's just say it the way it is. You watch Tech play now, they're not an NCAA tournament team. They're just not. They're losing these games, and they're letting the defensive breakdowns absolutely just show up. It was a team defensive breakdown in the second half on Saturday against the Noles, and then last night they let one guy score 24 points in the second half. 15 of the final 15 points scored by one guy, and I don't know how that happens. You've got to do something to knock him off his game. Kion talked about it. You got to do something to make him regret trying to get to the rim. I'm not saying do anything dirty, but there's a way to play, and it happened all the time with all your great bigs in the history of the NBA and college basketball past years. That's the way it does. And you can't tell me that anybody's going to be excited if this team has to accept a bid into the NIT. Would they accept a bid at this point in the NIT? The NIT's become more worthless than the current bowl season in college football. I mean, the way they've changed that format and means absolutely nothing to go to the NIT if you're a Power 4 program. Nothing. And there's nobody more, I won't say surprised, but confused and upset by Tech's record than Mike Young. And I go back to the conversation we had with him on the show. He was already talking NCAA tournament, and that was November. And right now they're going to fall far short of that goal. And you can look at all the reasons, add them up together. It is reevaluation for the way you've spent your money. And you know what I think happens? And this isn't just regarding Tech, but just some of the coaches I've talked to in the Big South and when we've played power schools, and they've all made the same point. Now, this isn't them complaining. It's not an excuse, but it makes sense. They'll say, Rick, you know, everybody, if you have money, everybody's going after basically the same pool. It's kind of like free agency in every sense of the word. And he goes, you don't really have as much time to evaluate, spend time with guys like you could when you were just recruiting high school kids. And these aren't guys that are complaining. They're just saying, this is the way it was and this is the way it is now. You know, you get to know the kid as a sophomore, junior. You get to know the family. You're recruiting him, and you kind of get to know his tendencies, his personality, how coachable he is, how coachable he may not be. Because now, you know, we're watching a lot of tape. We're talking to coaches. We're talking to as many people as we can. We may get a chance or two to actually have on the visit that they come. A lot of times that's the only time you got to have a good conversation with him and the family. And they say a lot of times we're not even getting to talk to the kid now. It's just like pro ball. You're talking to their handler, their agent, their dad, their mom, whomever it might be. And then you don't really get to feel that, but you go, you know what? I think we can get him, but we're going to have to offer him today. Well, maybe we're seeing a lot of that backfire. Nito was a guy who played overseas. How much could Mike Young have gotten to know his tendencies, his personality? You can only talk to so many people about a kid. And I think this is something, again, it's not offering any excuses. This is just saying, just talking to coaches. This is the way it is, because these are coaches talking about it. This isn't opinion. This is them telling me the landscape of their profession. So I think it does play into it. And coaches will learn to adapt, and they'll learn to figure out ways to, you know, go out and evaluate kids better than maybe they have here early on with the pay for play, at least in college basketball. But I don't like no adjustments against Florida State at all, and then one guy you don't adjust on for an entire half. That's troubling to me if I'm a Tech fan. Correct, Prometheus. 100%. 100%. Damien Sordelet's going to join us here soon. The whole world has gone mad. Yesterday, the Phillies, I saw that. So the Phillies signed an 11-year-old. Chances are he'll never play in the majors, never play for the Phillies organization. He got $1.8 million. Wow. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to adjust, and I don't know how it's going to all be accounted for, but we'll see. But things aren't good hoops-wise for the men's basketball program in Blacksburg right now. Damien Sordelett, it's always good when he joins us. He's the Tech football beat writer for the Roanoke Times. What's up, DS?
Not much. Sure, some, like you mentioned, Virginia Tech basketball fans are not very happy this morning.
No, it's I don't know. You can look at all the different reasons but not adjust the lack of adjustments the last two games. Those were two must-win games they knew they had to have, and they gacked one up at home in the second half, and then you let one guy beat you last night. It's a troubling plane ride back from Miami this morning.
Yeah, and on that last play, I would like to have seen a shoot or Bedford to the back screen for Hansberry so you have some action going to the basket versus relying on getting Hammond to dribble from near half court in 3.8 seconds and leaving the paint open. I'd like to have had some action that way, and then you could have cleared out if the ball went to Hammond and try to draw your defender away from the paint there. But, you had that stretch there early in the league play where you lost a lot of close games. Wake, Stanford, SMU, all chances to have resume building wins. We just saw what SMU did last night to Louisville. So Tech is on the wrong side of the bubble, and unless I think Teel brought up a stat, like there have been very few teams that finish 500 in ACC league play and make the tournament. Tech can't be below 500 entering the ACC tournament because you're probably going to have to at least get to the finals in order to boost your resume.
Yeah, no doubt. And going to the NIL is not going to be an attractive thing for anybody, or NIT is going to be an attractive thing for anybody involving that program. I mean, I can't – they might even say no. I can see them saying, nah, I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne, that looks like Hansberry slipped, and then the ball just came out of his hands there. He had the wide open lane. Also would have been beneficial if Toby Lawal hadn't fouled out, because then you have another option to throw up to the rim, because you're going there with the 4-guard lineup. And Abdallah is a good passer, so I would have at least given him some options of where to throw the ball into if he saw an opening somewhere. Because Miami guarded the inbounds. They didn't have anyone at the rim.
Right.
I would have loved an action to the basket to at least get yourself a chance, because Miami had reached the foul limit. If you could draw some contact and get the whistle, you have a chance for a 1-and-1. So, Prometheus, Young did use a timeout, I want to say with about 2 and change left. They just scored to take the lead and was trying to get them settled in. And then he used 2 there in the last minute. So he had the timeouts. I think based on the way this game was going, he didn't want to burn a lot of them early because he knew you needed some late game. You need to draw up some late game plays. So I thought his time management was fine. It'd be nice if, just like in the women's game, you didn't have to have a user lose it first half timeout. So,
do you think is Abdallah become the Has he kind of become the Kyron Drones of the basketball program? Kyron Drones to this point, or to that point, was the highest paid Tech player ever. Avidalis is the highest paid Tech men's basketball player ever, and he hasn't lived up to it. He has to stay in the lineup. But when a guy only takes 3 shots, I mean, he didn't play poorly in terms of, he had 8 assists, just 1 turnover, but man, he's got 0 confidence. If that guy's only taking 3 shots, then something is really going on above his neck that's bothering him.
Yeah, but I like you mentioned 8 assists, 1 turnover. I think he realizes when the ball just doesn't stick in his hands and he's trying to create against one-on-one and then help, this team's better. There were only a couple instances last night where I thought he was doing a little too much dribbling and trying to create versus let the natural flow of the offense come. So, I think, if he can get to the facilitator mode, that will open up shots because teams are then going to start sagging off. And if he can get a couple open looks and they start going in, that builds your confidence. And you got Wake on Saturday, then you have your midweek open before you go to UNC. So, I'll tell you guys, the foul calls last night weren't great.
He only shot 3 free throws the whole game, right?
Yeah.
I think that's right for Tech.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough.
It was Hansberry. Hammond took 1 in the first half and Hansberry took 2 in the second half.
Well, that's something too that the coach can help change. That's something I would have stayed on those guys.
Yeah. And I'll say this about Avidalis. He's still projected as a potential late first-round pick. Maybe early second. I mean,
they're in what lies with how bad the NBA is. We just mentioned it with Kion, right? They keep drafting on this potential, but nobody's taking the time to develop them when they get there. And then when they get there, they don't develop because they don't have to.
Yeah.
Because the league doesn't have any developmental skills any longer.
No.
No,
and the G League is, how should I phrase it? The G League is essentially a feeder program for both the NBA and college now.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This world in which we live athletically is insane. It's gone off the rails to the point of, it's almost laughable. It's sad, but it's sad. But at the same time, you just have to laugh it off. It's everything we see. So,
hey, Chris, I'll mention that foul on Lawal on that block looked very similar to his block against Duke. All ball. And they still called it.
Yeah.
And you can't take a guy they needed him on the floor there, at least for some action to the paint to go up for a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tebow's right. Neo, he chases the guy as he's guarding. He doesn't defend them.
Yeah, and his highlight defensive plays are the LeBron chase down blocks.
Yeah.
And his help side defense is good if he can sag off and doesn't have to worry about someone.
If he didn't have to guard somebody.
If he can come off and help, he's really good. But
he's really good at that defensive thing when he doesn't have to guard anybody one-on-one.
Yeah. He's a wing in the NBA. He doesn't have to guard guys who handle the ball a lot. I mean, there are a lot of times he was guarding number 88 for them, who wasn't a ball handler at all. And that's when he actually played well. But when he had to guard, if he had to switch off on Donaldson or if he had to switch off on someone else, and then it wasn't good. But that's what you got. You got growing pains. I mean, he's a freshman and he's talented, but it's growing pains with him. And the sad thing is you're probably going to get him for 1 year unless he realizes I need another year in college because his draft stock falls. And
there's no way he's back in. I don't think there's any way he's back in Blacksburg. He might go back home and play. I don't know. But you think that's part of this whole thing, Damien? That because of the money we know that they're making, and we never got the exact amount, but we know it was upwards of $2.5 million. You think they come in and so immediately there's just like, hey man, you better be that guy. And he was tabbed to be that guy. Coaching staff tabbed him to be that guy. The media also tabbed him. So it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, and the fact that he was the number 2 transfer prospect, or I don't know what you call him. Is he a transfer? Is he a high school signee?
I don't know.
I know he was very highly rated. For the media day, they brought him out there, had him up there with Tyler Johnson and Ben Hammond.
Oh, yeah.
And
crown jewel.
I was like, all right. You know, if you can beat Wake on Saturday, and that's a big if right now, and you get Tyler Johnson healed up, and you have him available for UNC, which looks vulnerable all of a sudden.
Yeah. And I don't know what's going on with Johnson. I mean, it's 3 weeks we've had the same report. Like, clearly something else is going on there.
Right.
It's the same thing with Lawal. It's just like we're not getting any kind of – it's very frustrating, I know, for a lot of fans too regarding
Well, with Lawal, you kind of knew the injury he had. With Johnson, I don't think anyone's seen him in a boot. No one's seen him with any knee support or arm support or anything like that. So
I think something else is going on there. I really do. I don't know what it might be, but something else is going on there.
Yeah.
We won't ever find out, but
no.
Or maybe
unless he comes out and just says what
unless
happened.
When he leaves, he'll come out and say something. Right.
Yeah.
But it's strange. It's been a strange vibe around that team for a while now. So.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what would happen if you win those 3 games early in the season?
Right.
And
they could have lost a lot of they won a lot of close games too, a lot of overtime, a lot of buzzer. I mean, it could have gone against it. It's just that's kind of evened its way out, is it? Those close wins and now all these close losses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And looking at their schedule, if you can take care of Wake and BC at home and then steal UNC, because I don't think you're going to beat Virginia and Charlottesville and go 3-1. That puts you, I believe, back at
500. Yeah.
Because I think they're 2 games under right now. So
6-8. Yeah, I put them at 9-9 if that happens.
Yeah, that would be your best case scenario going into the ACC tournament, because then 1 or 2 wins in there and you get yourself in the big dance. So
yeah. Carolina won't be as daunting now. They're not nearly the same team. I mean, they've lost their 2 guys, and they got every time I turned it on last night, NC State was doing whatever it wanted to score the basketball.
Yeah, and the NC State student section was not very kind to the UNC players.
Well,
Well, when you have a player accused of sexual assault, you're going to get a lot of those chants. And it happens. It probably got in their heads, and that's why you lose by 24 to a rival.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think this is just we're seeing it here locally enough. This is where whatever you pay for a guy doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out, regardless of the sport, right? We get caught up in a lot of that, but it's all got to come together when they get there, and it's more daunting and it's tougher for coaches with all the money being made. And I just don't think this is an environment that's. I don't think we're segueing out of this current environment easily, but I think it's going to happen sooner than I thought it was going to. I wanted to ask you about that. All these programs now are openly showing how much money they lost. The last 2 have been Alabama and Penn State. Now we're talking blue bloods now. We're talking this is, I think, something that is I think these leagues are saying, let's show people, let's get public affection on our side now to understand what's going on here. And I think it's pretty soon you're going to see something happen here. I don't know what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, but we're going to see something happen, I think, sooner than later. I think 2026 in college football will be the last year we see this uncontrolled environment. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, because you're looking at all the money that they're spending on these Olympic sports, and a lot of it has to do with the increased travel that they have. And I think people are starting to realize you can't afford that. Like Sacramento State's paying $18 million to join the MAC as a football-only program.
Yeah.
I have a better solution. Tell Northern Illinois don't go to the Mountain West, stay in the MAC, and then put Sacramento State in the Mountain West.
There you go.
Except no one's going to listen to that. I really don't think the inflection point's not going to be 2030. It's going to be sooner because you can't rely just on the football TV contracts and the revenue you bring in because you have so much premium seating at these massive stadiums to essentially fund these other programs. Castle needs to be redone so that way you can add in premium seating. You can add in elements that can bring in some money, and that way you're closer to being in the black than digging yourself more into the red.
I think that's a good
point.
point.
You're right, because there's an excitement around the women because they're playing well. I mean, they've already reached the 20-win mark. They're on the good side of the bubble. If you had premium seating and you had opportunities to get people in there, you could make money by by essentially promoting this women's team. That's really good. I don't think people talk about how good Carly Winslow and Karis Baker are. They are very good. And Samaya Suffering, you saw what they missed in her last year when she was hurt. She's very good. So, like, Megan Duffy's done a good job. She's got them heading to the NCAA tournament. And then you could have fed off the excitement of the men this year with Abdalos. If you have premium seating, you could have brought in some more money, and that would have helped. And Whit Babcock has said that to us. He has said, like, Castle Coliseum does not have the advantages that some other facilities have because you don't have the premium seating. You don't have the ability to attract that kind of money in. So Castle's got to get done soon.
They had a big blueprint laid out 5 years ago. I remember hearing about it. Hey, we got it all laid out. It just kind of disappeared.
But now they got the money. Now you got to do something with it. And I think you got to start charging for softball tickets once you upgrade that facility. Charge for baseball. You got to start charging admission. I wouldn't break the bank on it, like $5 a ticket or something, but at least get some money in there so that way you're not. Because I understand free tickets, it promotes bringing in a lot of people, but you got to start charging to get them into the building, and that will help. I know it might not put you completely in toward the black, but it will make that red number a little bit smaller. So I think that's something they're going to have to look at, like the ways of, hey, we're on campus. There's a softball game going on. They don't charge. Let's go watch a softball game. Now you're going to have to open up your wallet or get out Apple Pay or whatever and charge for that. And I think if you want to invest into a program, you probably won't have a problem with that because let's face it, that's going to be a way to help these programs out until we get some common sense in terms of college athletics. And Prometheus is right. Winning football games is big. I guarantee you there will be a lot of people who will gladly pay to go to wrestling over the next few years because that wrestling program is going to be top 5 in the nation with the team they have coming back next year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what the solutions are. The solutions are and let me ask you this. I heard someone say, one of the coaches was like that I talked to said, look, we have the power. There's no governing body. There's no players association. All we have to do is just as an entity of Power 4 leagues just say, we're done. This is what we have. He goes, this is not reality because everybody wants their own advantages. And if they feel like they have the money, they're going to go out and buy the best players. So they're not going to fall in line. But it's not, he said, it's not out of the realm of question that we could get together all this and just say, okay, we know what the rev share rules say. We're not going beyond that. And this pay for play has to end. When you have Ohio State and Texas Tech spending $60 million on its football roster.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
There was someone in Congress, I can't remember who it was. and I can't remember which side of the aisle, but they presented a pretty detailed presentation of a bill he wanted to introduce about getting NIL back to what it was meant to be, which is universities simply just, I don't know, just a one-time fee. Here, we're going to pay for your name, image, and likeness, and you can go out and do advertisements and whatnot. And then rev share, like you said, that's capped, and then fix the transfer rule. There's a lot of things in that bill that I liked, but I kind of agree with Chris here that it won't happen because the athletes currently have a lot of power.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem. That there's no checks and balance. It's what's wrong with the NBA, that the players have all the power.
Right. But like the NCAA went for so long where the players had no power and no say to completely flipping it on its head and
complete overcorrection. Yeah.
Versus finding a common ground. And
it goes back to having no leadership for how many years for people that were paid millions of dollars to be leaders at the NCAA, presidential, commissioner, athletic director levels. They failed every part of this whole aspect.
Yeah.
They do.
And honestly, whoever the NCAA has as president, which currently is Charlie Baker, he is currently he's just a mouthpiece. And
yeah, right. That's a great point. Yes. He has absolutely no pull whatsoever.
Yeah.
No influence. He's just a guy going out and saying, what do you guys want me to say? What am I saying today?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah.
All these things. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what the solutions are. I just know that even a place like Radford, when we have our meetings and we talk about this with other schools in the Big South, which the league you know very well, I mean, everybody's got the same. This is just everything's going to go club sport at some point if you're not football or men's basketball. That seems to be something that's gaining momentum. Nobody wants it, but that's the only way you're going to be able to say we're going to keep these programs without just completely shutting them down. The ones who make no money whatsoever. And there's only 2 that make any money. There's about a dozen baseball programs that make money.
Yeah.
In Power 4.
But they also have really nice facilities.
Correct.
And
correct.
The premium seating that comes along with that.
Yeah.
And speaking of Big South, I'm wearing my 2013 pullover.
Hey, that's awesome. Liberty Days, baby.
Yeah, well, the first tournament at Coastal.
Yeah.
So they handed out some swag.
Yeah. That was fun. Tournament down there was fun. Yeah.
I wouldn't throw in the towel for baseball just yet. This early in the year, you're not going to use up your pitching, especially with how cold it is. I'll give them a chance to see what they look like here because they have a couple. They have this big series in Arlington coming up where they're playing some really quality opponents. Mostly SEC opponents, so we'll get a chance to see how they do. And if you guys want to talk about the women's game, if they can knock off North Carolina tomorrow night at home, I think that locks them into the tournament because that would be a quad 1 win. And then you got Georgia Tech and UVA to finish off the year. If you can sweep those, I think Tech's looking really good and would probably be in contention for possibly a double bye. I haven't looked at the ACC standings yet for the women, but you'd be 13-5 in league play, 23-7 overall. I think that puts the women in as a pretty good lock and probably a single-digit seed. So, we'll see. It'll probably be men NIT and women are going to the tournament this year just based on how they're playing. And and Chris is right here. Like the funds don't go to the players at Tech till August. Like they get that once they get back on campus. Like once the semester starts back off. Yeah,
when they start their official time there. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, man. It just every day something pops up and you just kind of scratch your head. It's just like, I don't know. We can't be the smartest life forms in the universe, can we? Humans? There's no way. We've allowed this to happen. Got to be somewhere out there, like in what was the show Matt Groening did?
Yeah.
What was it called? Lord, the one about space. Remember that?
Yeah.
They had like the aliens who would just sit back and they would just laugh.
I think like every time I watch a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror and I see the aliens up in space, I'm thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, they have to be. They got it right. They got it right.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of the name of that show? That's driving me crazy. Anyway, they had the robot, Bender, the robot.
You
Other
got
names.
You got it. Prometheus got it.
Bigfoot and aliens. Yep. Yes, sir. 100%. A lot of people think Bigfoot might be an alien. I'm telling you, watch out. We may be discovering things here this morning, Damien.
Yeah. Well, there's enough people with common sense who could help influence change in the college game. It's just that there are enough people in power. Craig Siggy. Tony Teel. Some of those guys who don't want to give up what they currently have. So, I mean, I would just blow up all the TV deals, put everything into a pool, and then distribute, which I think you would have a bigger investment in, because you could get does Prime want to get involved in this? Does Netflix want to get involved in this? Do you want, like, so many other avenues that if you pool all the funds in and saying, hey, you all have this carte blanche of every league, every game, pull into this, and then all that stuff. So,
Futurama. That's the name of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with Futurama. Wow. Anyway, yeah, that show.
That's one of the better animated shows out there.
Yeah, it was. It was. Used to be. Yeah, just like The Simpsons used to be.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Until Disney took over Fox and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's over. As soon as Disney gets involved, it's over. Let's just say it the way it is.
Yeah, let's just say once Disney got involved in Nickelodeon when I was growing up, then everything went downhill.
They've destroyed everything they've touched. Their own IP, they've destroyed ESPN, they've destroyed ABC, they've destroyed Marvel, they've destroyed it all. They've destroyed it all. But it is what it is. All right. Well, Ben, we appreciate you as always, man. I guess we won't have anything football-wise to talk about, but we'll always find good things to talk about, at least until we get closer to spring. And then
I mean, who knows? I mean, spring's going to start. The spring practice is going to start in about 1 month.
Yeah, there you go.
They start up right after spring break.
Yep. Yep.
So.
Yep. And then we'll get some tidbits here and some tidbits there, and some things will happen naturally that they may not want to come out that will, and vice versa that they want to put out there. So we'll have to figure it out.
He's got to finish putting together a support staff. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, they still haven't announced that yet. That staff is huge, by the way. Based on some contracts I've gotten, that staff is humongous.
Yep.
From a support staff standpoint. So,
which is why Merriman's being completely torn down and renovated, basically from inside out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there are a few places where, like, Andy mentioned this once, where you kind of like play Tetris with some of these places, like some of the parts of the building where you can try to maybe add something there.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's what they're doing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, now you're getting into the Rutgers territory of they have 110 football staffers, and that's why they're $50 million in debt every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yep, T-Vote. Yep.
100%. 100%.
Yep.
But in any event.
Yep.
All right, brother. You have a great rest of the week.
You, brother.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Have a great one, guys.
Damien Sordelett. Damien's the best. Damien's great. I love that he just naturally just love the way he interacts with all you guys. That's great. That's great. David Teel will join us coming up. And then we've got speaking of women's sports, everybody's talking about women's basketball this morning. Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn going to join us. They'll be coming on together. I'm going to send them their invites here soon. So thanks to Steve Bafuto from over at the Montgomery County Chamber. I think it'll be a very interesting conversation that you'll enjoy. Yeah, DS is I've known him a long time. He used to be the beat writer for Liberty, and covered the Big South. And he's a good dude, man. He's really good at what he does, and he'll be very honest. And he's one of the good ones, man. I'd like to think of the journalists that we bring here on the program that these are the good ones. I mean, the next guy coming up is arguably the best in the history of the Commonwealth. And then you got Andy, and I mean, I just think we have the right people that's going to give you not a lot of fluff and a lot of hype. They're going to tell you the way things are. And we need a lot more of that. So I hope everybody appreciates that. You're getting on it. If I feel like somebody's coming on and they're not being genuine, I don't invite them back. Like if I'm just getting a bunch of company fluff, I don't want that. You don't want that. You don't need to hear that today with what's going on. All the money you spend, if you're still invested, you don't want somebody just, doing the thing. Yeah, Chris Coleman, all the guys at Tech Sideline are like that. Well, I know Chris and Andy are. And Will tell you like it is. Will's been posting a lot on Tech Sideline, and, people got into him a little bit because he was, his business relies on access. And I saw people I got an email as well, somebody, complaining that we complain about the lack of access and trying to blame that on that's how Brent Pry wasn't successful, which is just utter crap. But for Tech Sideline to function, it needs to have some sort of access. And Will's telling people that, look, you can't expect our product to stay the same. And so I don't think we know what it's going to be. We knew it was going to be before Franklin kind of made it obvious, but now we know it's going to be no access. Okay. And I think for Tech Sideline, it's going to be an adjustment. Now, they used to not have access anyway. Chris Coleman was able to function, and they'll have good stuff. But, guys like Andy need access, and that's what Will was saying. We have a product here that's people pay money for, and now, I don't know how they're going to have information that they're used to having. That's all. So they have a right to say something. Yeah, his yep said it all. Yeah. We are the Island of Misfit Toys. Which toy from the Island of Misfit Toys would we want to be? Trying to think. I'd have to see a list of didn't they have a train that had square wheels? The blue elephant. And the Jack in the Box had a different name. Something like that. I think of us like the old wrestling figures. What the old Hasbro figures? Yeah, I'm with you. That's pretty funny. I like that. It'd be a good name for a band. Who are you guys? We're the Island of Misfit Toys. All right. Well, hit the stage, boys. An island of dogs. It's good stuff. Thanks to all of our sponsors. The Ready Set Fund, Professional Door Incorporated, sponsor of our text line, National Bank member FDIC, the attorney Ryan Pry for our fan question of the week, Little River Heating and Air. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Authority, McClellan Chiropractic, Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio here in Reiner, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, the NRB Super Bowl, and Top Shelf Apparel. Thanks to everybody. David Teel scheduled to join us next. Stand up. Put your hands together for the Island of Misfit Toys. Yeah, see? That works, doesn't Some guy just start wailing there. By the way, Wayne, we got to have a discussion sometime. We might save it. I'll let him know, Tebow. That's good. I like that. Yeah, Damien's great. When I first met him, where they would set me up radio-wise down at Liberty, he was always right beside me, and that's how we got to know each other, just talking and everything. And then he would start feeding me notes about, game runs and if guys were doing certain things. It was pretty cool. But Wayne, few people know this about Wayne, but his all-time favorite band is Poison. So when we debut Big Dog Pop, we're going to have Wayne on, and he needs to explain. Oh, sweet. Thanks, Prometheus. Those are great. Those wrestling figures. He needs to explain why, if you listen to their song that was their big hit, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, how nothing rhymes. They got away with making words sound like they rhymed, and they never rhymed. Put it on in your car. Tell me I'm wrong. Every rose has its thorn, just like every night has its dawn. Thorn and dawn do not rhyme. Just like everybody, or like every cowboy sings his sad, sad song, every rose has its thorn. Song does not rhyme with thorn. That's the genius, Rick. Good stuff. David Teel will join us, and then Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn will join us. David Teel next. I did, Rodney. Thank you. I did. I did. Thank you. And if the attorney Richie Davis is watching, I did read up on your guy, Richie. I will talk about a little bit about Anthony Kim, not today, but we will talk about Anthony Kim just for you. I promise. We will. Thanks for all the material there. Skinny Bob is musical, lyrical genius too. Okay. They were aptly named because their musical stylings were poison to the ears. All right, we'll talk to Lauren and Paige coming up in the third hour. Joining us now on the program. Hey, it's been a little while. He is the Hall of Famer, the great David Teel joins us. What's up, David? Good morning.
Good morning, Rick.
How are you been? How you been, man? Everything good?
We are in the throes of college basketball season. Great time of year.
It really is. The last couple of weeks of February into March, and let's just get right to it for Virginia Tech. I mean, what happened the second half against Florida State? Inexplicable. Last night, one guy basically puts them behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
I know they've had injuries, but boy, these close games are really getting away from them. And now they're completely out of any type of tournament conversation, at least as of this morning.
Yeah, they're probably going to need to win out the rest of the regular season, Rick, to get back in that conversation. You know, they've got the two big opportunities on the road ahead at Carolina and at UVA. And as we saw Saturday at home against Florida State. You know, the Wake Forest and Boston College games at home are not given. So anything less than 3-1, maybe even 4-0, and the Hokies are going to have to run the table at the ACC tournament in Charlotte. And last night, you're right, Trey Donaldson, this is a dude that was really good at Auburn and really good at Michigan. This should not surprise anyone. And he went off and carried Miami. And not only that, he guarded Ben Hammond on that last play about as well as you can.
And I was trying to think of all the years I've been calling basketball, all the years you've covered. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy score his team's last 15 points. Every one of them.
Yeah, no, they couldn't handle him. And the last one, I think, if you're a Virginia Tech fan, the last point was particularly troubling. Toby Lawal can't commit that foul. You have to have more situational awareness than that. Number one, it sends him to the line. Number two, it's your fifth foul.
Right.
You need to be on the court. You're your team's most athletic player, best rebounder, and you're 30 feet from the basket and you're fouling that guy. Just unaware, and it cost him.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of work to be done. Duke have separated themselves. UVA clearly. Coach Odom, we knew he was going to be, I thought immediately we talked about it was going to be a great fit. And boy, has he ever. That's a really good basketball team. And Carolina now with their injuries, they don't look, they got boat raced last night by NC State.
They did, and you don't think the folks in Raleigh and Will Wade were reveling in that. And Van Allen Lubin, who came over to the other side of the rivalry from Chapel Hill, it got a little chippy there at the end and in post game with the BTA, and the Wolfpack were feeling their oats a little bit. And hey, that's what rivalries are built on. Good for them. There will be payback, I'm sure, at some point. But you're right about Ryan Odom and UVA. I wrote a piece this week, Rick. There are 15 first-year coaches at the power conference level. And Ryan Odom's, to date, is having the best season of those 15. Not too far behind is Jay Lucas at Miami.
Yeah.
And who does UVA play Saturday at John Paul Jones Arena? You would think, we don't assume, you would think that Virginia wins tonight in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. But then look at the Cavaliers' next 3 games. Home to Miami, home to NC State, at Duke. Going to learn a whole lot about that crew in the next week and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday, Mike Burnham talked about, we talked about the net, and you and I have talked about the ACC is much stronger, but it's not like you look at night in, night out in the Big 12 or the Big 10 where you're like, oh, my goodness. The Miamis and the Clemsons are really good, but after Virginia and Duke, you don't go. Like Tech has shown it. They beat Clemson on the road. They could have won, should have won maybe last night. So there's not really anybody after those top 2, especially with Carolina all beat up, that you go, that's an unwinnable game, or, boy, that's going to be trouble. The league is good. I don't know how to describe that. Like, we know the league's better, but yet you don't feel as daunting going into certain places.
Well, I think I'd even narrow it further, Rick. Beyond Duke, I don't see a Final Four team.
Yeah.
In the ACC. Now, does that mean it can't? Of course not. We saw NC State make a Final Four.
That's a good point.
We've seen Miami. But if you just look at sheer talent and where ACC teams stack up nationally, Duke is really the only one that you would feel marginally confident about winning 4 consecutive games in March to reach Indianapolis. Whereas if you go to the Big 10 or you go to the Big 12, you are looking at 3-4 teams in each. And you look at last night, Michigan, Purdue. I wish I had Peacock. I'd have taken a look at that last night. But Michigan's got it rolling, and just so many good teams out there. And Michigan Duke on Saturday in Washington, D.C. You've got 1 versus 3. And then on the flip side, you've got 2 versus 4 when Houston plays Arizona in the Big 12.
Right.
So you've got college basketball's top 4 ranked teams playing one another on the same day in late February. That is pretty darn good stuff.
And that could be preview of the Final Four. It could be the actual Final Four right there. We might be getting a look at it. Who knows?
Yeah, if they're not in the same region, why not? If all 4 of them fell on the one line.
We've been seeing a lot of schools, David, open up their books and showing people, Alabama did it, Penn State. I mean, you name it. More and more are doing this. What's your reaction when you see all this money that they're showing that they've lost and what we're going? Is this some kind of effort we're seeing now to kind of get the public vibe on the side of what's going on, saying, hey, look, this is what's happening now. How much longer can we keep doing this? What do you think's going on there?
I don't know, Rick. It's kind of an annual thing this time of year. This is each January, every Division I school files a financial report to the NCAA. And I've got them for the last 5-6 years for all the ACC public schools. And I have Virginia's for this year, and Virginia Tech's, and Carolina's, FSU's, you name them. I've got them. And this should not surprise anyone because it is hardly breaking news.
True.
Beyond football and maybe at some places men's basketball, every sport in college athletics is a money loser. That's just the way of the world because those sports don't sell tickets and they don't bring in media rights. And those are the money pits that the enterprise draws from. So not really a surprise. And maybe there's some PR involved and ADs are stressing it a little more. But they're all out there on the streets looking for ways to make more money. And that's why this season you'll probably see jersey patches and field logos at a lot of schools, including Virginia Tech, this football season.
Yeah, it's going to happen. They're going to be decorated like soccer players, aren't they? Pretty soon.
I don't know if we're going to go the full soccer NASCAR route. I'm not sure, and whether coaches and players will begin their post-game interviews by thanking their sponsors. You've been in enough victory lanes. You know how that works.
Right.
But, hey, I wouldn't be surprised at anything right now.
Coaches changing hats. A guy reaching over and putting on a different hat during the interview.
Quite possible.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. It's discouraging for a lot of people. I guess like one of our folks in chat, it's the amount of debt, I guess, is what's kind of eye-popping. Like, wow. And again, I haven't been privy to it. And I guess social media obviously lends itself to that, to be exposed to that. Because like you said, you've seen it for years. But it's just...
Yeah, and Rick, the debt, it's not just the annual, okay, we ran a $5 million deficit or a $5 million surplus. I think some of the big numbers that folks are focusing on is the debt service on some of these capital projects and facility improvements. And that's a new addition to these NCAA financial reports. I'm sitting here at my desk and I've got them right here and I printed them out. So for Clemson's the first one right here, total athletics related debt, $245 million. That's what they're paying off their capital projects. And let me get to, UVA, $25 million. But UVA's total institutional debt, $2.4 $485 million. I mean, that's money that kind of isn't real. That's you're paying your mortgage. And these schools have immense mortgages based on the constructions on their campus.
What does Clemson's look like? I'm curious because I know they have some of the nicest facilities. They got a brand new volleyball only building. Mike Burnett was talking about that. The softball complex is pristine. The base. What's theirs look like? Are those completed, paid for projects? Or are they just in the process?
No, these are ones you're paying on.
Yeah.
Total athletics related debt for Clemson, $244.9 million. Total institutional debt at Clemson is $1 billion. Now, another fascinating part of these, not to get too much into the weeds with folks, is athletics dedicated endowments. And you want to talk about an advantage for some schools? Clemson's dedicated endowment for athletics isn't even $500,000. Now, Virginia's total athletics dedicated endowments, $288.7 million.
Wow.
And if you want to go even farther, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, athletic endowment, $575.7 million.
Wow. So that's money that is at their disposal, right?
Yep, sitting there earning interest, and probably Jordan Hudson has plans for
it. So when these schools are telling us that it's otherwise, are they just conveniently leaving out that as public information? Or
no, it's right. It's right there to look at. You just have to know where to find it.
So maybe this is more sustainable than we're being told it is. Is that where we're? Is that?
No, I don't think it is, simply because they are leaning so hard into their donors to fund these rosters, and as many others have noted, athletics is a zero-sum game. There is a winner and there is a loser in each game. Somebody has to lose.
Right.
Which means someone is not going to get return on investment. And any shrewd investor, if year after year goes by and there is no ROI, you're going to stop. You're going to bail. And that's when it becomes unsustainable.
Gotcha. Wow. Well, it's very interesting as the wheel turns, as they say. Have you noticed? I noticed, I thought the college football product has been better during the pay for play. I thought it was a really good game. I've talked about it. The games were really good. Do you see that in your college basketball every weekend? Are you thinking that the college basketball product has gotten better, at least in terms of just watching the games the last 3 years?
The product of this year is exceptionally good.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think a large credit goes to this year's freshman class. We are looking at a group that is just, you see it in the ACC with Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson, and let's hope he gets healthy so he can play in March and that hand heals. But just, Michael Brown, the week he had last week, going for 45 and then following up with 29, and around the country, AJ DeBance at Kingston Flemings, the young man in Illinois, he wasn't even a top 100 recruit, Keaton Wagler, and now they're talking about him being a top 5 draft choice. They have really elevated college basketball this season.
Even in our league, the Big South, you see it. You can guys who maybe were at higher places that came down. I mean, it's made it all. Yeah, you can see it everywhere. Mid-major basketball has been a beneficiary of this in terms of the product. They really have. They really
sure. Have. Athletes find their level.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of your level, where are you going to be coming up? Where are you traveling this weekend? You in Charlottesville? You traveling to UVA room? Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Charlottesville, not only because Virginia Miami is a enticing matchup, but they're dedicating the court to Tony Bennett.
Oh, great.
So that'll be a cool moment for UVA. I will have some FOMO, though, not being in D.C. for Duke, Michigan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That is such a banger of a game. And part of me wishes that Virginia was playing Boston College and I could just bail on Charlottesville and go to D.C.
That's right. And then you could be at that game, right, and not feel, well, David, thanks for stopping by as always, my friend. Great stuff. Good to see you, man. Looking forward to seeing where we are next week with the ACC basketball standings and the results of these games this weekend. Going to be big.
Yep.
Going to be big.
Going to be fun. Thanks, Rick.
All right, brother. Stay safe. Take care, man.
You
All right.
too.
There you go. David Teel join us. I was thinking the same thing, TLB. Told you I talked to somebody pretty high up the food chain, Blacksburg. Said, this is just money laundering, Rick. Guess what? Feels like he absolutely, what David just told us. Yep. All right, I got to send some emails here. So everybody talk amongst yourselves. Well, I can talk to you while I'm doing this. I think I can do two things at once. Let's see here. Maybe I can't. We're going to have Lauren Sisler on. And I have to make sure I get the email right because I've never sent her an email before on this thing. And it's very, very, very particular. If you don't get every little detail right, it'll kick back immediately. All right. So there's Lauren's invite. And I'm going to send Paige her invite. And I think everyone will enjoy this conversation coming up with these two women and what we're going to get into here. And I do want to thank Steve and everybody over at the Montgomery County Chamber for helping arrange all this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting the invites sent now. I have to wait and send them closer to time. These links don't last very long. So, boom, they have now been sent. And they should see those in their email. We'll have them on here in just a second. They will jump in the studio and we'll be good to go. Yeah, and this is going to carry into a conversation we're going to have going forward, Prometheus. So, yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul. What's truth? What's fiction? Money laundering? What is going on? That's interesting to hear about the endowment. You know, it's that money's there. So what are we doing? What does that mean? And if more universities have, I mean, they're not all going to have that much, but if that money is there, the common sense would tell you then all these complaints that we're getting and we're hearing about are kind of silly, or at least to that degree. But I do understand when you're trying to get the same donors to pay for things, that money's going to dry up. So maybe that's the unsustainable part. Are they not wanting to put that endowment money into NIL? I mean, I'm wondering if that's where all of this goes. But yeah, it was interesting. David was just kind of scoffing a little bit at some of the things that are said and then seeing the results of it. So, fascinating, and I know it concerns a lot of people. So, all right. So we thank all of our guests today. Kion was terrific as always. Damien Sordelett and the great David Teel. So we mentioned this is cool, and I think we've been talking about Tech women's basketball this morning, women's sports, working in Radford athletics. I really value our women's programs and the young ladies that I get to know over the years, and we're excited right now. There is Paige Guynn, the owner and director of Dance Tech over in Blacksburg. Good morning, Paige. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And there is Lauren Sisler. Lauren, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Both. Good to see you both.
Hello.
Well, we want to thank Steve over at the Montgomery County Chamber for hooking me up with you guys, and we appreciate you taking the time. And we talk about women's sports a lot. It means so much in our communities and so forth. And first of all, Paige, let's talk about what you've been doing for young girls with your ballet. Talk about the development. How important was that for you to begin your professional life and make sure that what you've been fighting for and working for your whole life was be able to advance on to young people, to young girls?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, dance taught me everything, and a lot of people don't think of it as a sport. They think of it more as artistic, but we're teamwork, grit, and you have to do it all while making it look easy, I think is the hardest challenge in dance. So you learn a lot of adaptability and just all these skills that translate into everything later in life.
And you are going to be the presenting sponsor for the Women's Leadership Conference, right? And talk about why that's so important.
So it was actually the first event that I went to when I was stepping into a role as a business owner. I was kind of the assistant for years and then took that leap of faith and decided to go to this event myself. And there's electric energy. There are no levels or titles or anything like that. Everyone's on the same page. We're all there to grow for ourselves, for each other, to make our community better. So it's just something that speaks to me. And I really believe in building up youth, but also adults can't be looked over. We have to keep going as we age and step onto the next stage in our life.
Now, Lauren, you, by the way, are a successful author, and you're also working for ESPN as a reporter, and you're the second Giles High grad that we've had here on the program in the last couple of weeks. Marty Smith joins us every month. You might know that guy,
Yes,
Marty,
love Marty. Love Marty.
Well, let's talk about your journey through sports and how you've ended up now at ESPN and writing books and so forth, and how sports shaped you and your personality as a young woman growing up.
Yeah, sports has, of course, just been part of my life. As I've known it growing up, just being in a sports household, my family always obviously watching sports. My brother was an athlete. And then for me, gymnastics was a sport that took off from a very early age, started at the early age of 3 at Roanoke Academy of Gymnastics. And it really just took off from there. And it was a sport that, I really just fell in love with, and it just became my life. Just travel.
Did we lose volume?
Yes.
Did we lose Lauren's volume there? We were there, Lauren, and we heard a pop, and we lost your volume. She can hear us. Let's see here. We might, if I have to, I'll send you a new invite. Let's see here. I don't know if it's on our end. We can see you. You look great. Paige, did it happen to you too?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't hear you, Lauren. Sorry.
Sometimes these mics will do that too. It's just right. They just pop out. This whole thing, this whole era of all this that got going during COVID, you would think the technology would have improved.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yay, we got you back. Yes.
Well, okay, so something happened. It's weird. Like my phone tries to take over, like automatically. I don't know what the deal is. This is like a new feature on the iPhone. And it literally pops up and says, "Oh, you're now streaming from your phone." I'm like, "No, I don't want to be on my phone." Like on the computer.
They listen to everything. Now. They know everything we say. They know everything we think. Right?
I know. I'm like, come on now. That's not what I want. Anyways, well, where was I? But anyways, yeah. So the sport of gymnastics was really just my life, and it taught me so much just about dedication, hard work, discipline, and really. It became my sole focus going into college. I really wanted a college scholarship. And so that was really the dream for me. But not only me, my family, my parents, both of my parents were really dedicated to the sport as well. And, as Paige, as like you make a commitment in sports, you make a commitment in your respective sport, obviously for you with dance. And it becomes really the driving force behind everything. I mean, I was actually leaving Giles High School. I got to dismiss a period early every day so I could go to gymnastics. And so instead of doing gym class, it was like, okay, you're going to go to gymnastics, because I had to commute over an hour each way to Roanoke Academy. And so, it really was a blessing, and I'm just so grateful for that journey. And then of course, it's brought me brought me a long way. And then, of course, getting to cover college football for ESPN has been amazing. Love getting to do that. And then if I actually do cover some college gymnastics, I'm really excited, for the opportunity. Last year, I got to cover Big 12 championships and also the men's NCAA championships. And so hoping for another opportunity to do that again this year. And it's really just been a lot of fun.
Well, talk about your book as well. Let people know about your book and what's going on with that. We have a lot of receptive folks. We've had several authors on, and folks are going out and buying the book. They're finding it and reading it. So there's a lot of interest.
That.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, the book is called Shatterproof. And a lot of people ask me, like, where did you come up with that title? Well, I had a lot of people, on my team helping with the process. But Shatterproof really became this idea of someone or something takes a baseball bat to your life, shatters it into a million pieces. But through human resilience, we all within us have the ability to pick up those pieces and create something beautiful with joy, with purpose. So it's not really never about not breaking. It's what are you going to do with the pieces when you do? And so really for me, that goes back to when I lost both of my parents to prescription drug overdoses when I was a freshman at Rutgers. It happened very unexpectedly. I get a phone call from my dad in the middle of the night to let me know that my mom had passed away. And then, he said, get on the next plane you can. I'll be at the airport to pick you up. And he, never showed up to the airport that day. And instead it was my uncle and my cousin to let me know that my dad had also passed away. And so,
oh no.
Yeah. So, it was just a very challenging time. And then I think the layer of that became even more challenging was the why, why did this happen? How did this happen? But then ultimately, why as a family were we so naive to the fact that my parents were addicted to their pain meds? They were going to a pain management doctor in Roanoke, and eventually it just started to snowball and things escalated, and they really were fighting a concealed battle with it. And so really the goal is to also bring light to that. There's such a stigma around mental health and around addiction. And, we've got to talk about it. We've got to have conversations because ultimately my parents didn't have the conversations with us. They carried a lot of shame. I inherited that shame. And, my goal is to help people. My mantra in life is fall in love with your story. And because we all walk through chapters of life that are challenging, and it's, you got to honor the struggle. You can't just put up the highlight reel, and I don't know how old you are, Paige, but look, we're in this world of like social media. Everything is like back in my day, like there was none of that, right? It was riding your bikes around the neighborhood. Like, there was no such thing as social media until I even got into college. And so just having those important conversations and recognizing that life is not what everybody puts a filter on,
Well, and Paige, for you, it just reminds me, it's one of the things I take so much pride in as an administrator, and are you, the young people, our Chad Hyatt, our head athletic trainer, and Dr. Boland, we put such an emphasis on mental health. It is a real thing. I've gone through it personally with my own son. Mm-hmm. I got a call one night, I'm sitting there getting ready to introduce our new basketball coach, and police are calling me, and my son had tried to take his own life. It was something that I never saw coming. This was only about a year ago. He's now thriving down at UVA Wise as a student. He's got his life back together. He's gotten through this tough time. And so for you, Paige, I think when you're dealing with these young ladies, these young girls and their families, you're giving them something that they can cling on to, that regardless of what goes on, they can just start developing that. And just like, Lauren's talking about, she could always go back to doing what she loved to do, and it would bring her back. And it's the same thing what you're doing. That's why what you're doing is such an important service.
It gives you something to focus on and direct that energy. I know people might say, like, leave your emotions at the door, but I don't know if I believe in that. I think you got to bring them with you and work through it. And lean on those people. One of the cool things I love about dance is usually we get someone when they're 3 and we get them through their senior year of high school. So they're actually having those same coaches and teachers the entire time. It really is a strong foundation for them and that support system. And the families get to be together that entire time too. So it's really special.
Yeah, it really is. It's so vital. It's so vital. And what Lauren said, and Lauren, I think you've probably found this as you've started to cover sports, the acceptance and what people have to understand me. There's nobody should be ashamed of anything they're going through, because it means so much. And if you miss signs, you try not to, but the decision can be made quickly for somebody to try to handle their situation in all the wrong ways, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the part of the conversation, that you're talking about, right? It is a lot more talked about, I think, widely in sports, where people are willing to talk about that aspect of it, for so long. I mean, it's, an injury is an injury is an injury. And, it's acknowledged when you have a broken ankle and you can't go out there and compete. But when this up here is also struggling, that is the invisible scars that we carry a lot of times. And, for some reason throughout time, society has told us we don't talk about it. You put it in a corner, you don't talk about it. And I would say even as a young gymnast, I got really good at compartmentalizing things. That's part of the sport, right? You thrive on the perfect 10. And everything is, it's very much an individual sport. It's very subjective. You get out there, you compete, you fall down, you get back up, next routine, next routine, next routine. And I think I got really good at compartmentalizing things, which, a lot of people would say, even myself, like, oh, that strengthened me up, it toughened me up. But I've realized that there's a lot of strength in acknowledging and honoring the pain that we experience. And also too, pain and experiences are connectors. I think that our stories are what connect us and help us to continue to grow and thrive. And I think that, Paige is obviously a gym owner, would understand this as well. At the dance studio, everybody's connected in some way. And that's what makes us unique, but also what makes us, as one. And, I think that's what brings people together. That's what creates families within teams, within our groups of people. And I think that's really where hope lives. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed and continue to be talked about. And really that's what I love so much about sports, because it's more than just the sport. It's the support system and it's the family.
Paige Guynn joining us on the program. She owns Dance Tech, and Lauren Sisler, who works for ESPN. Also, she is an author. And Paige, how much is that therapy for you, by the way? Like if you're having kind of a, right? I mean, there's something about being around young people that's uplifting. It really is.
Yes. They have a lot of energy, first of all.
I'm sure.
That is just the first and foremost. Yeah. You can't walk in there without some sort of somebody joking on you or giving you a hug. And even just that physical connection is a huge part for us as teachers of keeping us going. I know because we're in a college town, most of our staff members are college students. So we become their family away from their biological families here in town. We always have parents, helping them change their tires, all sorts of things. So we're not just giving to the kids, we're giving to our staff as well. And it's everything. It's why I stayed in Blacksburg after I graduated college.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in what you provide, and any coach and anybody who has a studio or something like that, it helps families too. It helps parents maybe kind of understand the direction of their child. Maybe, okay, this is something that's bringing out something we haven't seen in our daughter or our son, right? And I think that it also enhances that relationship between the parent and their child that maybe they didn't know was there until they get out and express themselves like that, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it does. There's so many resources now too to kind of help guide you along the way, to understand what your kid is going through, to understand how other parents are feeling. And it's just really cool to see where we're going. I think back to when I started, everyone was kind of doing their own thing because we didn't have the social media. So there is positive to it, bringing people together and pooling our resources and sharing how to just be the best we can be.
Lauren, let's talk about your ESPN gig. What got you into that aspect of what you do professionally? And you mentioned how much fun you're having on the sideline. That's a pretty good point of view, isn't it, for a game?
It is a pretty good point of view. Yeah, I love I love when game day rolls around. It's a lot of fun just being in the huddle, like being in the mix, being behind the bench, just being part of the stories, and it's crazy because I actually wanted to be a sports doctor. I wanted to go into sports medicine. I think that really became that was my childhood dream because, I'd been an athlete and experienced a lot of setbacks and thought, okay, it'd be cool to be a doctor, be the one kind of helping athletes get back out on the field to play. But then as I got into college and, the unfortunate circumstances with my parents happened, I had to reevaluate where I was at. My grades were not doing too good. Med school was not looking bright in my future. And I think too, it was a childhood dream, but realized that there was a lot out there. Right. And so my teammate actually at Rutgers, oh, sweet Dawn Gill, she was, pursuing sports broadcasting as well. And she's like, come on and do this with me, So when I was basically flunking out of school at Rutgers, she's like, come over here and do sports broadcasting with me. And really it was, I love to perform. Obviously I've been performing my whole life in gymnastics, love storytelling, love relationships, all that stuff and love people. And so it really just felt like a good fit. And that's sort of how it took off. And then really just bounced around to different TV stations. I did end up back in Roanoke, Virginia at WDBJ7 for a couple of years, which was awesome. Loved getting to work with the sports guys over there, kind of get my feet wet, covering, Virginia Tech and UVA and Radford and all the different, high schools and stuff around the region. And then went to Parkersburg, West Virginia. And then it's crazy because I ended up in Birmingham, Alabama in 2011 at a local CBS affiliate. Never in a million years that I think I would end up in Alabama. And then let's be real. They've won a few championships here.
They've been pretty good
here in the state. So, it certainly has been a magical time here. And then my husband and I have just loved it. We've stayed here. My husband's actually from Christiansburg, John Willard. And so it's kind of funny because, we both live in Alabama, obviously, and his family's in Christiansburg. My family's still back in Roanoke. So I do come back and visit quite a bit. Roanoke and Giles County, that will always be like my home, my roots. But, we always enjoy coming back and being part of that. But we definitely call Alabama home now. And it's pretty cool. So.
Well, let's talk more about the Women's Leadership Conference. Paige, let's talk about that, why you chose to be the presenting sponsor and the message that is going to be delivered here, not only for young women, but for everybody, parents and men as well.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot to cover.
That's a lot.
It's a whole day of speakers and networking, and there's all sorts of things. We give out awards. There's fun surprises. But one of the things that we're really focused on this year is emotions. So it's interesting that we have been talking kind of about mental health already this morning. I think that often women are associated more with emotions, but we're using those emotions as data to drive us forward. So thinking about embracing that, as Lauren was talking about, embracing your story, embracing things that have happened to you, feelings of discomfort and why those are happening to kind of push you on to the next phase or what you think might be the next step. And that doesn't mean in a negative way. It could be in a positive way of something that's really, you just feel drawn to it. Why? What about that is your passion? And how can you take that further in your leadership journey? We'll explore a little bit about how you can lead from anywhere. So it's not about having a title or a big position at a huge multi-million-dollar company. You can lead from your church group on Sunday nights. You can lead from within your own home. You can lead from an entry-level position somewhere. So kind of the idea of embracing your skills, using those facts of your emotions and taking you on to the next step. So I don't know if that was very eloquent.
No, it was terrific. And Lauren, Lauren, I would say that had to attract you, which is why you're going to be the keynote speaker, right? You're going to tie all these things together. We've been talking about your personal experience. This is perfect. This is a perfect setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I love the theme for this. It is the winning mindsets, writing your own playbook. And I just love that theme so much because really it is what Paige said. I think a lot of times we all feel like we have to lead with our title. And no, like you lead with your heart and you lead with those connection pieces. Like you're human first. And I even love kind of what Paige said, going back to like, people say, oh, leave your emotion at the door. First of all, let's be real. Like work, home life, all that like bleeds together. There's like no such thing as like separation. Okay.
No.
But that can be used as your superpower, right? You know, what charges you up, what drives you at home can also be the very thing that drives you, you know, in the professional workforce as well. And I love that idea of, you know, you don't have to have that big title to lead, because you have opportunities to lead in so many ways, even when people aren't watching. And I think that is what's so important, is leading with grace for yourself, grace for others, grace for people that, you know, don't have a voice. And that's what's really amazing about it. So I'm really excited about this conference. I know the registration is continuing to grow, so really excited about that. And I know we've got lots of surprises along the way, lots of, you know, giveaways, a lot of fun things happening. So, you know, really excited to just be with this amazing group of women. And so we encourage people to come out, sign up, bring their you know, themselves, bring all of themselves, and get ready.
Well, it's got to be exciting too for both of you, Lauren and Paige, the fact that so many business owners and so forth are associated with this, right? So you're going to have leaders of all these different places that are going to hear the messages that you both have throughout that whole conference, and it's going to be able to be applied to where they are. So that's cool. That's cool.
It's really cool. A lot of local businesses will get an entire table. So it's all levels, like along their leadership pipeline, get to be there together and hear the same messaging. I think it's really unifying for teams and exciting for them. So.
All right. So somebody in chat knows you, knows your brother. I don't know which ones. The question is, how is your brother doing after his Navy career? Who has the Navy brother?
That's me.
That's Lauren. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, I actually was looking at some of these comments here. Of course, the Spartans everywhere. Amazing. Love it. You know, like all the things. I was kind of looking at that WIAT. That was in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Well, actually, no, that was WTAP. And then WIAT was in Birmingham. You know, that's the CBS affiliate here. So that was amazing. You know, but, you know, unfortunately, my brother Alan passed away in November of 2024, and so we lost him. And yeah, it's been another layer of challenges. You know, just you know, grew up obviously my mom, my dad, me, and my brother, and we were, you know, the Sisler family, you know, getting after it. And so you know, unfortunately, we lost my brother, and you know, he was just battling some health issues, and yeah, it's been a hard time. You know, he meant everything to me, and obviously to Giles County, and he was very well known in the Giles community as well. And so always, you know, had a smile on his face and put a smile on other people's faces. And you know, let's just say got after it. You know, I always said my brother was one of those people that if in life he wasn't going to probably attempt something unless there was some sort of risk involved. He was the risk taker. And so, you know, come hell or high water, he was going to do it. So, you know, that was kind of just who he was. And so, you know, that certainly is a part of him that I miss, you know, just like that like energy that he always brought to life and everything. So I do appreciate you asking that. I know it's that 21YZ. You know, I really appreciate you asking that. And, you know, certainly it's been a journey, but, you know, just grateful to be on the other side of this. And that other question I do want to mention, can you teach Rick the balance beam?
Hey, I'm willing to try it.
Okay. Let's see about that.
Yeah. You both could help with my balance. So.
I was about to say, we'll get you on the balance beam, and then, you know, I know all about the uneven bars. Paige knows about the floor bar. Like,
we can help you out.
We can help you out. We can do it.
Well, yeah. It's just terrific what you're both doing, and Lauren, just to see your mindset is so inspiring for me as a parent, as somebody who's still dealing with things that have happened. And I know it will be for a lot of people and people who go back and watch. We get a lot of rewatches of the show on YouTube. That's how we get so many of our views. So this is going to be something I think that's going to carry over, and people are going to see your mindset with all the personal loss you've had to absorb and how you've come out in the way you are. It's very inspiring, and congratulations. And that just shows you how strong you are, and your inner drive and your support system. It's terrific. It's terrific stuff.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it really is.
And a big thank you to Paige for being a big sponsor for this event. Like, we're just so grateful for that. You know, I know it takes a village of commitment to get events like this off the ground and get people motivated and excited to join in. And so, you know, when they called me and said, you know, reached out and said, hey, do you want to be part of this event back home? I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. So anytime I can come back home and just be with my people, I'm always really excited. So I'll be making a trip. I'm going to come in a little bit early and visit with some family and friends and
make
my rounds. And then we'll, you know, we'll have a great time on March 5th.
Yeah. And for you, Paige, it's congratulations to you, what you chose to do. A lot of people run away from, you know, people when they get out of school. I mean, they start worrying about their own lives, and you're giving back to the community. It's terrific. It really is.
Thank you. I love it. This is a special place, you know?
Well, you can tell. You both absolutely love it. And by the way, Lauren, we had Coach Rags on every month with Marty. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know how you interacted with him. His mind, it's like he's coaching in that 1980 state championship game. Nothing's changed.
Well, he was my trig teacher. I remember though, during football season, I'd walk up to ask him a question about something, and he'd have his like plays all drawn up on his desk, and he'd be like, "All right, let me get to the mathematics here," you know. And I'm like, you know, I get it, Coach. Like, you're doing math down there.
That's
You gotta mathematically figure out how you're gonna win this football game.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, before we head out, Paige, again, let people know about Dance Tech and where people can find you if they're interested in maybe bringing their young person out there, right?
Well, heck yeah, because adults can also come to dance too.
Absolutely.
I always say we're for ages 3 to 83. So there's a very long expiration date, but
it is.
We're located in Blacksburg, up on North Main Street. Our website is dance-tech.com, and we're on social media at Dance Tech Rocks. So check us out there.
All right. And Lauren, again, tell people about the book again, and we'll continue to promote, first of all, Dance Tech and your book, Shatterproof.
I appreciate that. Yes, Shatterproof. I usually have one sitting here on my desk. I do have it over here, right here.
Hey, okay, good. We got a prop here. We need a prop.
Show people the goods right here, Shatterproof.
Oh,
Shatterproof.
Great.
So that's my book, Shatterproof. You know, you can get it on Amazon. A lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, do you have an audio version? The answer is yes, and I actually narrated it myself. So, you know, it's pretty cool to, well, I will tell you, that was a huge undertaking to be able to narrate this entire book myself. Like, reading through this whole thing was wild. But with that being said, you know, Shatterproof, you can get it on Amazon. You can go to my website as well. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, grateful to be able to share. This answers a lot of questions that people have. So I'm grateful that I finally had the courage to put pen to paper and make it happen. And so, again, thank you all for tuning in. Would love to connect with you also on social media at Lauren Sisler. Come say hello. I was trying to join the chat, but it wouldn't let me because I had to like log into YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
So thank you all over there for chatting and sharing your thoughts and whatnot. And, you know, we're just appreciative, and can't wait to be with you, Paige, in person in a short couple of weeks. And Rick, thank you again for this opportunity.
No, thanks for coming on. Look, we've already sold a book. Morris just bought a book.
That's awesome.
Wayne's going to get one and wants to get it signed. Well, Wayne, go to the conference.
Yes.
Come on to the conference, buddy.
Go to the conference.
We won't turn you away.
Well, thank you both. And once the show processes, I'll send you both links in your email for today's show. You can share it. Tell people to subscribe and like. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's the magic YouTube number. We're over 800. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So just tell them it's free and just hit subscribe and tell all your friends, and we'll jump on and we'll have you on again whenever you both want to come back on. This was terrific. And seriously, congratulations, Paige, for everything you're doing here in the local community. And it means so much. And so many folks are affected by it. And Lauren, congratulations on all your success professionally, but more importantly, personally, and how you battled through, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. Thanks you both.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
All right. Stay safe. We'll talk again soon. All right. Be good.
Y'all.
All right. How terrific was that? That's Lauren Sisler and Paige Guynn. That's inspirational. Really is. They were outstanding. They were outstanding. Thanks for all the questions. And that's great. You already sold a book. Shatterproof by Lauren Sisler. Check it out. Check it out. All right. Great show. I just put an exclamation point on it right there. That's awesome. And I'm so glad to see the tides turned about mental health and that it's okay to address it. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to go out and try to find open avenues to get it corrected as much as you can. Yeah. And it's awesome. And Lauren and you know, with all the personal loss, and it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right. So thanks to Kion. Thanks to Damien Sordelett, David Teel, and obviously to Paige and to Lauren. Thanks to you, best listening audience in YouTube. Andy Bitter tomorrow. Alex Guerra, Radford Baseball, Dwight Vick. Subscribe, like, and share our channel. Go out and buy Lauren's book. Go to Dance Tech. Check out what Paige is offering. And we will see you tomorrow on the Thursday edition. So long, everybody. Have a great rest of your hump day. I hope we get you off to a good start. We'll see you tomorrow.